The crew called her disruptive. Then the raw video showed the envelope, "Move out of that seat, or you will be escorted off this aircraft." The words land flat in the quiet of the forward cabin, spoken just loud enough for the rows behind to hear. The boarding pass in the woman's hand says Seat 2A, matches the manifest, matches the ticket she paid for in full 3 weeks ago. There is no name conflict, no double booking, nothing on the flight attendant's tablet that shows 2 people assigned to the same seat. Standing a few feet back in the aisle is another passenger, silver carry-on, sunglasses pushed up into blonde hair, watching with the particular patience of someone certain the outcome has already been decided. The flight attendant barely glances at the boarding pass before looking past it. Around row 3, 2 or 3 phones tilt upward, screens catching the light. Near the galley curtain, almost too quick to register, a folded envelope passes from one hand into the flight attendant's apron pocket. Only one passenger sees it clearly enough to matter later, a woman in row 4 with a laptop bag at her feet and a habit, from years spent restoring damaged archival footage, of never looking away from a moving hand. The woman being asked to move does not yet know money has changed hands at all. She only knows her seat is hers, her documents are in order, and the person asking her to give it up has offered no reason beyond another passenger's preference. Her name is Camille Adeyemi, 45 years old, founder and chief executive of a healthcare infrastructure company, traveling on Vantage Air Flight 218 from Dremore to Castellane for a routine board meeting, one where, unknown to anyone on this aircraft, she also holds a seat on the airline's parent company audit and compliance committee, an independent oversight role with no operational authority over any flight crew. None of that matters to the way she responds. "This is my confirmed seat," she says, calm, unhurried, holding the boarding pass steady so the flight attendant can read it again if she wants to. "I paid for it. I haven't raised my voice, and I haven't refused any safety instruction. Is there a safety reason I need to move? There is not, and the flight attendant does not claim one. Not yet." Her name was Sabrina Locke, 6 years with the airline, well known on this route for keeping certain frequent flyers comfortable in ways that rarely appeared in any manual. The passenger asking for the seat, a woman named Paula Renwick, flew this exact route almost every week on a corporate account, and over time had come to expect that seat 2A would simply be waiting for her, an expectation the crew had quietly accommodated more than once, long before this flight. "I always sit here," Paula said, not to Camille but to Sabrina, as though the explanation were self-evident. "Can we sort this out quickly? I have calls before landing." "I understand," Sabrina told her, then turned back to Camille. "We just need you to move for this flight. It would really help us keep things on schedule." "I'm not moving," Camille said. "My ticket is for this seat. If there's a genuine seat conflict, I'll look at the manifest with you right now." Sabrina did not offer the manifest. Instead, her tone shifted, courtesy replaced, almost imperceptibly, by something closer to a warning. "I need you to comply with crew instruction." "I'm complying with every safety instruction given to me," Camille said. "Declining to give up a seat I paid for isn't the same thing, and you know that." Sabrina walked to the front of the cabin and spoke quietly to the purser, a man named Owen Delacroix, who had not seen any of the exchange himself and had nothing to go on but her summary. A passenger in 2A refusing crew instruction and becoming a disruption to boarding. He did not ask to see the manifest. He relayed the summary to the captain, who likewise had not witnessed anything firsthand, and within minutes, a call went out for airport security to meet the aircraft at the door. 2 officers boarded, one of them a woman named Renee Castillo, who looked first, as she had been trained to. At the boarding pass Camille was still holding, then at the manifest Owen finally produced, once asked directly. Airport police policy required officers to identify a specific safety basis before physically removing a ticketed passenger, not simply a crew request, a rule Castillo knew and one that was about to be tested. Both showed exactly what Camille had said from the beginning. "Is there an actual safety concern here?" Castillo asked Owen, "or a seating preference?" Owen hesitated. "The crew has requested removal for non-compliance," he said, which was true and also not an answer. Castillo's partner had already begun to ask a similar question when the captain invoked in-flight command authority from the flight deck, a designation that airport security was required to defer to once formally declared, regardless of the officer's own doubts. Removal was requested under that authority, and removal would happen, whatever uncertainty remained on the jet bridge. Camille did not argue further. She packed her bag slowly, stated her name, her seat assignment, and her ticket confirmation clearly for anyone listening, said again that she had not raised her voice or refused any safety instruction, and walked off the aircraft under escort in front of a cabin full of passengers, several of them still recording. Paula Renwick took seat 2A less than a minute later. In row 4, Grace Halloran, the passenger who restored footage for a living, did not post anything online that day. She copied her raw video untouched, full-length, metadata intact, onto 2 separate drives before the flight had even pushed back, then sat with it for 3 days, watching the moment the envelope passed from hand to pocket again and again, making sure she had not imagined it. When she finally sent it, she did not send it to a news outlet. She sent it, along with a written account of exactly where she was sitting and what she had seen before and after the payment, directly to Vantage Air's compliance office and, separately, to the airline's parent company audit and compliance committee, where it reached a sitting member who happened to have been the woman in seat 2A. Camille did not reveal her role to anyone at the airport that day. She had already been removed, the video already existed, the manifest already showed no conflict, and the crew's own incident report, filed hours later, describing her as having refused crew instruction and created a disruption to boarding, already existed too, word for word, regardless of who she turned out to be. Her position only meant the record reached people with the authority to open every door around it at once. Because she was a party to the incident, Camille formally recused herself from any vote or finding related to it, asking the rest of the committee to run the review without her in the room for any decision. The board review that followed did not start with her identity. It started with the boarding pass, the manifest, Owen's crew note, Grace's preserved video, the transferred envelope visible in 2 separate frames, security body cam footage from the jet bridge, and Sabrina's own scheduling history, which showed she had swapped onto this exact route 11 times over the past year whenever Paula Renwick's corporate account appeared on the passenger list. If a confirmed seat can be reassigned for cash after boarding, Camille asked the board plainly, once the full record had been laid out, what else is being sold inside this system? She did not ask for anyone's job. She asked for the review to keep going. It did. Investigators found messages between Sabrina and Paula going back over a year, gift confirmations, small favors, one earlier note mentioning the usual seat, language that meant nothing on its own, and everything alongside the envelope on video. The envelope was recovered from the secured crew property bag, where Sabrina had placed the contents of her apron after the flight, photographed, and logged the moment it was found, still holding $400 in cash, and a message Paula had sent her the night before the flight. Same as always for 2A, removed any doubt about what the payment was for. They also found in the airline's own closed complaint file a case from 14 months earlier involving a physician named Dr. Malcolm Reyes, who had been pressured out of a confirmed premium seat on a different route for a loyalty passenger the crew clearly favored, given no seat conflict explanation, marked in the system as voluntarily relocated, and whose complaint had been closed without any review of the manifest at all. His record was corrected, the false note reversed and marked as false rather than deleted, and his case reopened alongside Camille's as part of the same institutional accounting. Accountability moved separately for each person involved, not through one decision covering everyone at once. Sabrina Locke was suspended immediately pending a formal hearing, where she was represented by her union and given the opportunity to respond to the full evidence file, messages, scheduling history, and the 2 video frames showing the envelope changing hands. And the hearing ended in her termination, along with a referral for a bribery investigation under the airline's compliance obligations. Paula Renwick's loyalty status and corporate account were both terminated, and the airline referred the payment itself to investigators as a potential inducement violation, a matter that would be decided outside the company entirely. Her employer, notified as part of the corporate account termination, opened its own internal review into her use of company travel funds for personal favors, a process that carried consequences of its own well beyond the airline. Owen Delacroix faced a finding of his own, not corruption, but a failure to verify a passenger's account against the manifest before authorizing an escalation that ended in a security removal. He was suspended, required to complete a verification procedure retraining course, and returned to duty under a documented review period, a decision the compliance committee made independently of Camille's involvement. The captain, who had authorized the removal from the flight deck without ever speaking to Camille or personally reviewing the manifest, received a formal command review finding for approving a passenger's removal without confirming an actual safety basis. Not a suspension, since no bribe or bias was found in the decision itself, but a documented mark on his record and a mandatory retraining requirement before his next command rotation. Officer Castillo, whose hesitation on the jet bridge turned out to matter more than anyone realized at the time, cooperated fully with the review and provided the clearest early account of how uncertain the disruption claim actually looked in the moment. Her body cam footage, preserved automatically per department policy, became one of the most cited pieces of evidence in the final report. The passenger disturbance entry in Camille's own record was not deleted. It was formally reversed, marked false, linked permanently to the manifest and video that disproved it, and corrected across every partner airline's shared system that could have carried the false note forward. The reforms that followed were procedural, aimed at the mechanism rather than any one person. A confirmed seat could no longer be reassigned after boarding for another passenger's preference. Full stop, regardless of loyalty tier or corporate account. Any premium seat removal now required a documented reason code and a second crew member's independent sign-off before security could be summoned at all. Every seat reassignment, whatever the reason, now generated a permanent audit log entry recording who requested it, who approved it, and what evidence supported it, a record no single crew member could later edit or delete. Gifts, cash, or benefits from passengers to active crew were formally prohibited, with mandatory reporting for anything offered, not just anything accepted. Any security removal now triggered automatic preservation of manifest, crew notes, and available cabin footage before the aircraft could push back again. A removed passenger would receive a copy of the disruption flag filed against them, rather than learning of it, if ever, only after the fact. Safety instructions and service preferences were formally separated in crew training, with explicit language that declining to give up a paid seat is never, on its own, a safety violation. Security officers boarding an aircraft for a removal request would now be shown the manifest as a matter of course, not upon request. An independent appeal channel was created outside the airline's own customer service structure, and the board began requiring a quarterly report on the demographic pattern of premium seat removals across every route in the network. Weeks later, on a different flight, another loyalty passenger asked a flight attendant whether the man in seat 1C might be willing to move so she could sit with a colleague. "He has a confirmed seat," the attendant said simply. "I can check if there's another seat available for you, but he's not required to move." There was another seat. She took it without complaint, without a call to the flight deck, without anyone's identity ever needing to matter at all. On a later flight out of Draymoor, an ordinary passenger settled into seat 2A, glanced briefly at the window, and got no second look from anyone. No crew member hovering, no envelope changing hands, no question about whether the seat was really his. Camille was not on that flight, and did not need to be. The crew that removed her had believed they were protecting order on a routine boarding. The video showed they were selling access to a seat that was never theirs to sell. The gate had not failed because anyone was confused about the rules. It failed because someone believed privilege could simply purchase an exception, and for a long time, nobody with the power to check had bothered to ask. This is a fictional story created for storytelling purposes.